What's up? We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. Um, your life is scripted. Back with the saga. Back with the sequel. For those who don't know, the last season I did is on. It's on the homepage. It's on the homepage on the playlist. Your life is scripted. But we're gonna get into it because this is something I always wanted to talk about. So for those who new to this channel, those who new to this whole series, your life is scripted is based on a lot of the TV shows, movies, and different things that came out throughout the last decades. And within these films, which were good films, good TV shows, good acting, it was actually showing us the stuff that was happening and some of the stuff that was going to happen. But this I also learned being that we didn't watch a lot of these episodes or a lot of these shows. It was certain shows people didn't watch, but a lot of these shows had certain things in it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna jump into it. So yeah, in the heat of the night, first thing first, it comes on. It's on you. You can watch it on YouTube. It comes on the Bounce Network. It comes on every day. But this TV show is also the foundation to Law and Order. A lot of things. Now the storyline in it is deep, meaning it's all real topics, all real issues, a lot of details in it, and a lot of things also coded in it. Okay, now let me speed it up. The main whole concept of In the Heat of the Night is when the South first had to break out of their racism. This is why this takes place in Mississippi. And it takes place in Sparta, Mississippi, just to prove a point that this show is in the deepest of the South you can go, in the most racist town you can find. But when you watch the show, you will see that they had a certain order to these towns, and yes, they were racist, but their racism was their systems. And what I mean by that is the people in these cities still got along. So I'm also going to get into the secret relationships between blacks and whites that is shown throughout the whole In the Heat of the Night. And it shows you the classism. It also shows you when the South, it starts off, when the whole thing starts, it starts off in the South where all the white people were still down there with all their power, meaning they were the ancestors and they were the property owners, they were the rich people, and the blacks were poor. And the blacks lived in a neighborhood, which is called the hood now, but in this TV show, the hood was called the Bottoms. The Bottoms. All right, the Bottoms, that's the hood, the low down part. That's the name of the hood in this. But it's very complex, but it shows how when it first started. Now, also it shows another dimension in this show. It shows when people from up north first started to go back down south. It shows that. And it shows when people from up north started going down south for many different reasons. It shows when people first started going from up north down south for business opportunities. It showed people from up north going down south for scheming, scamming. It showed people from up north going down south to sell drugs. It's all in here. So before it was a big movement of people up north going down south, it was already in this TV show. Yeah, because this TV show is once again a documentation. All American films are documentations. At the time when these shows are out, we watch it as entertainment, but it's really documentation. It's documentation and it's also a script. You watch the TV show, you follow the TV show, you will know exactly how life is going to pan out. So this is also the beginning of promoting the black cop. This is the promoting of the black cop because they had to deal with racism on all levels. But see, this also I know, y'all. See, like I said, it's all from the show. It shows that this is the reality of it. The South was forced to break out of their ways. They had to adapt because it was a new system. The new system in America was what we know now as rap music. It also shows when the rap music first came down there. Yes, it shows you everything. How the rap changed, then the drugs came. But the main thing it also show you is how all of the white people was doing everything first. All of the white races was doing everything first, from murder to selling drugs to robberies to it show you how it was white woman in the South, the first woman that started that taking their husband out. So you know how throughout the years we saw all this stuff on the ID channel. They now got a show center. They got all these different shows. But that whole concept of women slaying their men for insurance money, all in the heat of the night. Because they would do that to keep their estate and be with their boyfriends. So also everything people do in the South now come from this. What else? What else come from this? When I say come from this, I'm talking about the stuff that goes on in the South to this day. All that's in here. Cheating, and also putting insurance on your spouse. It shows Geppetto behavior. When it was a black man working, he was messing with a young girl, and he was mad. She came up to his job. He got her pregnant. He didn't want nobody to know. She came up to his job. That's in here. The Geppetto behavior. And it shows that how racist the South was, but they had to conform. It was like this. When America said enough is enough, when the Gov said enough is enough, they started to put a system together to break up the South, because the South was a picket fence and they were a gang. I'm trying to tell you. Later on, people gang bang over colors and stuff like that, but the South banged over colors too. Now, what I mean by that is they had their favorite picks. So they would trip on certain people that they didn't like. But the people they liked, they didn't have no problem with them. It's all in the TV show. Now, not only that, it shows when the South had to be bust up. So this is why the head detective Virgil, you know, the black guy Virgil, he comes down there from Philly, representing a northern educated couple that comes down south. Now, you know, he had all odds against him. Now, the only thing that was in his favor, he was born there. He was from there. So they gave him a little bit of leeway. But he was still traumatized from his past. It also showed that how blacks had left and became successful, and then some came back. Now, as we talk about that, it showed many different dimensions. It showed how a black woman had moved to Chicago, but she had white relatives, meaning she was mixed. And she had to come back to Mississippi to get her rights to the estate. It's all in here, showing you the secret relationship between blacks and whites. Then they showed another episode in reverse of a white woman that she didn't want people to know that she had a black father. She was passing. Long story short, it was showing meaning the white woman had made it in life. She had to come back to Mississippi to take control over an estate that was left behind. But the whole time she was going throughout life as white, she really was black, because it shows you the whole Creole concept in this as well. They also talk about Louisiana, Mississippi, it's all together. A lot of people didn't know that. Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, it's all together. So it shows you all of that. So let's go. So 1988. This is also when the crack epidemic started to boom in real life. This is when things started to change. See, this TV show was a lot. Now, for the racist white people that lived in the South, this TV show was also to groom them, to prep them to be ready. Whether you like it or not, blacks are going to be down here, and they're going to have jobs of power. See, this is where it all started. This is what I tell y'all about the drug game. The drug game also helped break up that racism in the South. Yeah, because once that drug game got out of control and they started getting their hands on weapons and certain things like that, it got different. It became different. This is when I tell you it flipped. Now, remember, in the South, blacks were terrified of whites. But then when the blacks started to sell drugs and shoot their guns with crime, the whites became scared of the blacks. So all of that's in here. But I'm showing you this is where it all started. It's 1988. It shows you that the racist behavior in the South was already going to be gone, whether they liked it or not. And that was the chief, because he was the first stubborn, meaning this was his role. See, the chief was the one to change his ways, but in his mind, he wasn't racist, but he still was taking up for his old friends. He still didn't want to conform to the new ways, so he was stubborn at first. But after a while, he changed his ways. And it also shows you throughout the series, throughout the years, eventually they all had to change their ways. And, that's when we get into Bubba. Bubba was supposed to be the main number one racist. So they also show you about policing. They show you how a lot of police be dumb. And it shows you also how the black police had to come in with that intelligence, because they were so racist. They actually were dumb, because their dumbness made them comfortable with their city, and they wasn't aware to a lot of stuff that was going on, because they just had to set on their ways. But Bubba was a straight racist, but he really represented that white man that was ignorant to black people. He was ignorant. He didn't really know too much, and all he loved was his job and his city, his town. And that's how he was raised. So in the beginning, people that know him and Virgil had beef. Long story short, he let his goons beat Virgil up, all that. They tried to run Virgil out of town. Long story short, when it was all said and done, Bubba had to conform. And then y'all know at the end of the day, Virgil had status over them, but they were prepping the South in real life to let them know it's going to be a day when blacks are going to have power down here. So that's why I say in 1988, it wasn't a reality down there back then. Not back then, not in Mississippi. It wasn't a reality. But they were prepping them, letting them know one day y'all going to have chiefs. That's how it's going to be. And basically what's going on is, this is what I know what happened. They were going to switch. They're coming in, we're going out. They're going to handle the drugs, the violence, and all the other stuff. And they show you that within the show. Because, different series, things happen in the bottoms, which is the hood. From murder to everything. Murder by every which way. They also show you how this is where kicking in the door, robbing people. The stuff they do in the South, kicking in the door, robbing whole house, all that come from here. It show you first how the white man was doing it, then it show you how the black started doing it. Because it show you as the seasons go on. So you see it start in 88. So it shows you how it was still all racist. But as you get into the 90s, say when you get to 1990, that's when it starts showing you how the blacks start doing the stuff, yeah. And it show you how the whites start getting legit, getting into politics, doing other stuff. So, yeah. And it also shows you the first art of snitching. It shows you how the police down south first started to establish relationships with their communities, their cities. So in future references or future times, they will always have everybody in the city eating out their hand. So it would never be hard for them to get information or get people to tell. So this is the segment, First 48 comes out of In the Heat of the Night. Yes. That's where they got the concept from. A lot of things got their concepts from this show too. Yeah, a lot of things. Movie scenes, a lot of stuff. Yeah. So Virgil also represented the man with no power, meaning he was a police officer, but it always showed his wife didn't respect him. His wife got RAPE by a white man. He couldn't do nothing about it. And it shows that he didn't have no control of his life for real. But he was the one to make everybody respect. But we're going to move on. Another secret they show. It's an episode when it comes on. They digging, and they start finding ancient artifacts. Now, in the TV show, they try to play it off like it's old slavery stuff, but really what they were finding were old ancient. They were finding Indian stuff. For the people that know what it looked like and people that know the scenery, they were finding artifacts in the ground. Yeah, but in the show, they played it off like they were old slave relics. Yeah, so all that's in here. But if you know the truth about Mississippi, Alabama, like I said, all the stuff, okay, you'll get it clear. This is the home of a lot of tribes. So anyway, all that's in here. How they found the sacred, a sacred artifact. Now, the main thing it shows is the relationships between black and white. So when it first starts, the white woman right there in back of the chief, that's his woman, the woman of the town that owned the diner. You know, she's the woman. But as time goes on, he ends up with her. And in another segment of this, it shows you how in the city down south, they started to put blacks in power as city council people. Why? Your job is to balance it out. You're the face for the blacks of the city. That was her job. Look over the blacks, stuff like that. They laws. This is how it worked to this day. So they showing you where all these systems started from. And she's a black woman, but in reality, in the show, she's played really as a Creole woman. She get it? Yeah. So she ends up messing with the chief. He's the chief, and she is a councilwoman. But it was showing you the relation between blacks and whites. Also, throughout the whole series, they always show you the chief. He'll walk up on certain black people. He'll be like, hey, what's up, man? Like, they'll be real cool with a lot of history. So it showed you that he had his picks, which means he wasn't a racist, but it would show you that he had his picks. It showed you the history of the barbershop. When he need information, he go to the barbershop. It show you how he had people in the city. When they needed information, they go to the club. Showing you the whole setup of the South, Black South. So when people talk about them talking and snitching, and we see First 48. No, these are systems the South always had to get their information. It show you in this how they always had their informants. It's all in here. Yeah. Also, it show you how she got with him after her husband went to jail. Yeah, but at first they was creeping. See, first they was creeping, but when it was all said and done, they got married. So you also got to look at it in the frame of 88 back then, how all these things had to be taught. It took for time for all these things. Remember, they also was showing you this is when they first started to groom America with the black and white. Because at this same time, this when Jungle Fever, all that stuff came out. This is when the South was being groomed to accept blackness. So when people talk about, to this day, it was a process when people had to accept other sexes and other things. This is when the South first had to accept blacks are coming down here. Blacks are going to have power, and there's nothing y'all going to do about it. This is when it all started. This is when it was at the highest level. That's why I was showing you the 80s, 88. But remember, other parts of the South wasn't like that. This is when Mississippi, Alabama, that real South had to be bust up. But it shows you how even in the country, they always had exclusive restaurants to go to, top-notch shit. But it also showed you this. Now, him and the black woman went to certain spots, but people wasn't looking at them funny, like, what the hell is she doing here? Or what is they doing sitting together? People wasn't looking like that because it shows you in this too. Even though they was in Mississippi, they had a high, rich upper echelon. And y'all know the upper echelon represent the secret societies, the elites. So they would show you also the elite of the South because they would show you blacks and whites in certain settings. See right in the back? See that black man? They'll show you. See, like I said, but if you don't know the code or you don't know what's going on, you wouldn't get it. Now, when you're watching this show, you're going to see blacks and whites standing together. So it's all in the show where they'll show you blacks and whites got along just on certain levels. See, it was a separation from separate things, but they showed you it was always a relation between blacks and whites. But see, back then, it was only prominent blacks and certain blacks they respected. Because remember, y'all, you also got to remember back then, certain blacks they had to respect because they were hard earners, hard workers. They did everything they were supposed to do, and it was beneficial to their communities and their cities, so they had to respect them. That's just what it was. See what I'm saying? Or because put it like this, even them racist people knew back then they wasn't going to get shit done unless they had a couple good black people they can call on. They knew that shit back then because it was always political. That's what they're showing you in this too, the political side. Yeah, we played a race game, but in reality, shit. They also show you how them men, they like them some black women. But it also show you how they had to work together, get shit done, and that's just what it was. So all the races had to get in line. There was nothing he was going to do about it. But throughout the show, it shows you how her son, he wasn't feeling that. Her son represented the rebellious young boy. This when it started. This is the part when it gets to the 90s. He's supposed to be the young boy that listens to rap. He's supposed to be the young boy listening to Eazy-E, NWA, the gangster music. And this is when the South start to get gangster. This is when the South start to get rebellious. He represents the rebellious one. He's her son. All right, it's showing you how it's going to be. It's showing you how it was going to be men from the South, raised in good homes. They were going to start listening to rap music, start hanging with their homeboys. Her son was always caught up in shit, going to the store. People, they going to rob the store, hang with drug. He always in something, hanging with drug dealers. They getting smoked. See, it show you all of that. How it's going to be a day your kid's going to be good, but they're going to hang with the wrong people by influence. All that's in here. So she was a city council, dating the chief, but her son was still getting in trouble. Plus, it showed how he was bitter because his mother was dealing with her new husband. He was embarrassed by it. So that's all in here. But it was all showing you the diversity and the changes in the Deep South. All right? See, like, it also shows you the beginning of the Black female officer in the South. Meaning, this is when, it wasn't just Black women sitting at the desk. This is when they started locking people, putting in work, because they knew in the future, 90s coming in, they're going to need officers to do these jobs, 2000s and beyond. Then you got to look at it like this. A lot of the officers that started back then, they just started retiring in the 2000s. So this was a teaching. Everything is in the show. It's a teaching. It's a learning. It shows you that modern day experience. This is why I say certain TV shows and films were real, because they captured the moment. Yeah, but this was showing you this whole concept was about the Black progress. Now, this is another thing. See? 8 seasons. Now, that's right, because they said it went to 95. So this is what I'm saying. It was showing the changes. Now, it showed when this Black cop came to work, she got slayed on the job. Yeah. But it was showing the world how these changes were going to start taking place. It was when, and it also, this is another thing I want to forget. It shows you how the so-called whites are going to move up in rank. See, Bubba got his rank. You see, the other guy got his rank. It shows you how the whole system started to change. This also what happened. It not only was it, this is another thing that went down. It wasn't only it was time to change for racism, or it was time to change, but it was time they had to create systems for them to get their rank. So it was common sense. If we hire a lot of Blacks, they're going to take our spot and we're going to start getting raises. And that's what happened. So you'll see, like right here, Bubba ain't have his status. He ain't had no status. None of them had status except for the chief. But as the Blacks started to come in, they started to get ranked. So you see both of their arms. So I was about to say, all this stuff is coded in it. It's not just the system of the street, it's the officer system. So you're gonna be a police officer down south, and this is where it all started from. On this level. This is what you see now. This is when they first also started prepping the Black police to fight crime. Yeah. This because it show you when they were so green, they didn't even know what crack was. It show you when they didn't even know how to deal with murders in their city from the drug gang. They were being slow. Then it showed how they had to get in tune, they had to get hip, they had to start going undercover. They had to start, but it showed you how little by it even show you prostitution in here, whole houses, everything, trafficking, everything in here. Yes. That's why I say at the end of the day, it's kind of deep, it's kind of better than Law and Order. So then it also shows you the grandmother aspect. And she's the one in the city, she know everything in the whole city. She know everything, the murders, who did it, all that shit. So I'm just showing you it was already in a TV show. Now, also remember, in 1988, when this came out, the South was not bad at all. It was not bad at all at this time. Meaning everything you see in these southern cities was never like that. Now, things went on, yes, but it was never like how it is. This is when it was the Bible Belt, conservative. And they did their dirt, but it was totally conservative. Now, it's all in here. This how they was raised, it's all in here. If somebody never went down south, I want to know exactly how it is, to show you right here. But it does show the true reality of it all. But it's more stuff in it that you got to catch than what's actually going on. Yes, but it shows you, y'all, one day they're all going to be snitches. And it always showed that every time they do crime, they're going to get caught. It showed the whole concept of people from the South want to go up north. How bad they just want to leave. It showed them, it showed every form of crime in this shit. Everyone. It showed how when people get slayed in the hood, they just lay there for hours. And it also show you how the true original not snitching really came from just not dealing with the white people, man. That's where it came from. They didn't deal with white people, so they didn't go to them for nothing. They ain't tell neither. But that was also part of let's all come together. So as they came together, the blacks got more comfortable. It started opening up more, and law enforcement started to handle things better. So like I said, it was a relationship that had to be done, and it took years to what you see now. But this where it started, where a racist man like Bubba will one day have to shake hands with somebody from the hood, and they all got to get along in the same place. So they because before that they was just segregated. We stay over here, y'all over there. It wasn't no drama, but it was you stay over there, we over here. But it just shows you that this is their humble beginnings. And another thing is this, I noticed, now like I said, I was young, I never watched it like that, but I know a lot of older people watched it. And I do remember when I used to visit down south, they used to watch it. So I know this for a fact. A lot of people from down south that watch this, they got influence. Like if they was like a certain age in 88, like 20, 21, 19, whatever, this shit influence you for crime. That shit show you all the ways to do crime down there. It shows stealing cars, everything they do down south. Or they used yeah. Before this shit took off, it wasn't going down like that. But it also showed people from New York coming down there trying to sell drugs. All that shit in here. It show you when Virgil cousin, his little niece from Philly come down there and she be fast, messing with white boys. All that shit in here. Yup. So this is what I mean when people talk about race to this day. It is TV shows that already came out to show you some of these relationships. But also remember this. This is before it was this many black and white couples down south. So to this day, it is many black and white couples that have kids, all of that married. So this was before all of that. And this is when it was all going down. So this is why I say your life is scripted, because this applies to a lot of people. And that's just what it is. But the main thing it shows you how in the beginning, the white people was everything. It showed you how they were everything. The gossipers, they ran the whole houses. They ran the drug game. They ran the businesses. They had rich inherited money. So when you watch Housewives of Atlanta, that whole thing comes from the rich white woman of the South. That's where it comes from. That's how they act when you watch it. When you watch it and you see the older white woman when they be in their mansions, you're going to see where Nene Leakes and them get it from. They're not only top of that. They show you how them same rich woman of the South was put with some of the first putting them hits on their men with them contracts. It's this where it all come from. Yeah, so Sins of the South come out of this shit. That's a TV show. So when I say a lot of TV shows come out of here, First 48 come out of this shit. Law and Order come out of this. A lot of shows come out of this, y'all. That's a fact. So on that note, another episode of Your Life is Scripted in the Heat of the Night, aka Sins of the South. This way they get a lot of that from. Now, if they don't get it from here, it's only two ways. It's either when we talk about this script, either you might get brainwashed from watching it, or you might get caught up in the lifestyle because you didn't watch it and you didn't know that it was already scripted. So that's how the game is played. Crime, sex, murder, scamming, lying, black and white action. That's right. Black and white sex. It's all in here. Yep. Guess what they even showed? When Virgil, the black guy, he was out of town. His wife was pregnant. And Bubba was going with her to her pregnancy classes. That's in there too. But see, I know all the codes in it. We're going to leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? But the whole TV show is a grooming of black and whites together. So they did get a lot of black and white scenes together. Yeah, it was a teaching because you know the hard heads of the South that was still racist, the whites. Yeah, this was to groom their ass. Yeah, yeah, for them to accept that shit. And after, and they had no choice anyway. So it's all in here, y'all. Because it was, I mean, before that, it always proved that they were creeping. They were already creeping for that black stuff anyway. Yeah, that was, it showed you all that was already in here. Yeah. So y'all stay tuned for more. We out. Your life is scripted.